Hi, Shalom Warriors. I'm waiting here a little bit to see some people joining us. Waiting for more of you warriors, Abraham friends, Israel partners, to get a little bit more attention here, a little bit more people joining us today. Welcome to Israel, welcome to Jerusalem. For those of you who see me on the first time, I am Doobie Sabo. I'm the ministry's correspondent in Israel and boots on the ground here in Jerusalem. And today we've decided in the ministry to dedicate this broadcast to the situation, to the current situation in Israel during this time. Right now, I'm sure that by now some of you already seen in the news channels, throughout the media and social media, about the fact that we are at war. Here in Israel, we are at war with the Palestinians in Gaza, with the Hamas terror organization that control Gaza. But also there is another war here between us Israeli citizens. There are Jewish people who living here in Israel, and there's also about 20% of the state of Israel. These are Arab Muslim citizens. And unfortunately, ever since the Jerusalem Day that took place last week, a day that was supposed to be a special day of huge celebrations for the fact that Jerusalem was reunified in 1967, and Jewish people and Gentiles alike could go into the old city, go to the Temple Mount, pray at the Western Wall, pray in the holy sites for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. These were the results of the Six-Day War in June 1967, and we decided that the government of Israel to declare it as a very special day of celebrations, the fact that Jerusalem was reunified. This year it turned into a very, very tense and volatile situation, I would say. As a matter of fact, the Arabs, the Muslims around us decided, because it was Jerusalem Day was overlapping with Laylat al-Qadr, which is one of the most important holidays for the Islam, the night that Muhammad went up to heaven to receive the first version of the Quran. They started to provoke, to call it a day of clashes. They started to riot throughout the land of Israel. And unfortunately, ever since that time, almost in every mixed city in Israel, we have riots right now. We have had Arab mob running throughout the land of Israel, literally pogroming Jewish synagogues. It's something that it's almost impossible to believe that in the free so-called sovereign state of Israel, the Jewish state, Muslims are burning Jewish synagogues. 5 synagogues were already burnt in the mixed city of Lod, just near the airport. In the city of Ramla, a synagogue was burned. In many other places, Jews were lynched. You cannot say less than that. 2 soldiers that walked in the city of Jaffa, right in Tel Aviv, Jaffa, they were attacked in a very cruel way, and they are in hospital right now. One of them is on the verge of death, unfortunately. These clashes were getting out of control. Now with the Israeli morality, with our approach and rules of engagement, the police are not just shooting just anybody. Even though they call the curfew, they still give the people a chance to protest. And this is crazy, because what was happening was that because of this situation, that a Muslim mob was just charging over police stations, burning police stations, literally killing Jewish people, attacking Jewish people in their homes, burning homes and synagogues, and the police were restrained. We started to have a situation where Jewish civilians started to form some kind of a militia, and trying to go and become vigilantes, and trying to come and take revenge. So on the other hand, Jews started to do the same horrible things, unheard of, as the Arabs were doing. There was an attempt to burn a mosque, something that we never do. Jewish people captured a Muslim cab driver and almost killed him. These are outlaws, terrible people, horrible. These are just outlaws. These are bandits. These are people that we don't like the way they do it. We have a nation here. We have a state. We have a government. We have a police. We have a border police. We should let them take care of this situation. But the incited Muslims, those who are literally incited by the speeches of the imams in all the mosques and throughout Israel, and mainly by the Hamas, that try to join together and give them a backwind and attack us with rockets and missiles. A rocket fell behind me about 400 yards near my home. 7 rockets were launched at Jerusalem. Can you believe that? Thousands of rockets so far within 4 days has been launched throughout Israel, all the way up to Tel Aviv and the surrounding cities. The southern parts of Israel is under constant attack. Every 3-4 minutes you get it, the alarms goes off and you have alerts and people are running to the bomb shelter. Many of them are being injured just because they run so fast, because they have only 10 to 15 seconds to find a shelter, or else the homes will collapse over their heads. This is a situation here that Israel has to face now with its enemies. Thank God yesterday the Lord God of Israel blessed our military and gave wisdom to our commanders, and they did a special operation. They mocked as if they are going to enter with infantry and tanks into Gaza. And when the Palestinian Hamas in Gaza were saying to themselves, here, let's put traps for these people, let's ambush them, let's enter into what they call the metro, the underground city that they were digging underneath Gaza, to wage war from there, from underground. If Israeli police, Israeli soldiers are going to enter into the Gaza Strip, their plans are to surprise us from below, to surprise us from the tunnels, from these death tunnels that they have built throughout the Gaza Strip. So they said, oh, Israelis are about to enter. Please come in. We're waiting for you in the underground. And Israel knew that this is what they're going to do. We let them go down underground. And then the military, the army, the infantry pulled back, and the Air Force came straight in. And 160 airplanes with bombs that are almost half a ton each one of them, they bombarded those tunnels with the terrorists that were there trying to ambush our soldiers. We don't know the results yet, but I think this was a very, very severe strike, because since then we can see that there is a diminishing number and a reduced number of rockets and missiles that has been launched at us. I think that the Hamas leadership is at a state of shock, and hopefully this will bring them to the verge of surrender. Hopefully they will understand that the toll that they had to pay for attacking us, for shooting at women and children throughout Israel, is too much for them. Maybe this will change the situation here for us. Maybe this will open the eyes also of some of the civilians in Gaza, that giving cover and support and financial support and logistical support to the terrorists of Hamas, and this will wake them up and will tell them, look, the city's been destroyed, our people being killed, stop the killing, stop launching at Israel. They don't care, they don't differentiate between women, children, men, old people. Just the day before yesterday, they launched a rocket killing a 5-year-old boy here in Israel, a child, a baby. And the same day they killed a woman, 87 years old, a Holocaust survivor. She survived the turmoil, the horrors of the Holocaust, the Nazis. She escaped Auschwitz. She made it here to the land of Israel, the Jewish state that's supposed to be the safest place on earth for this woman. And yet, she was killed by the rockets of the Hamas. Can you believe that? In your own state, in your town, civilian area, not military, and they launched rockets, thousands of rockets, on city centers, shopping malls, hospitals, kindergartens, you name it. They don't care. For them, the more they kill women and children on our side, for them, It's called the picture of victory. If we, by any mistake, hit one civilian, one innocent person, the whole nation feels so bad for that. And we hold ourselves accountable for this. You know, a few days ago when the war started, they said that we killed 9 children. This was a big lie. They were trying to launch a rocket from a kindergarten and it's exploded there because of their own accident. And it killed the operators and 9 children. And they blamed it on Israel. We didn't shoot that day at all. So, what can I tell you? All we really need now is a lot of unity, a lot of help from you. You are our watchmen on the walls. You are back there in the United States. You have the ability to speak up to your congressmen, to your senators, to tell them to speak to this administration now, to stop their horses, to hold their horses, because there's already calls and discussions between this administration and Joe Biden, and they're trying to make us stop. And they say on public, Israel has the right to defend itself, and all these void, empty declarations, all these fake news. But the truth of the matter, and I hear it from people that are very close to the government, the truth of the matter, they're trying to put a huge pressure over Israel just to stop, one-sided to stop. We don't want to stop because we don't want to surrender. We don't want this situation to return. Every week, every 2 weeks, every month, if we have a little bit of silence, every week there's an alarm going on, somebody shoots, somebody launches a rocket. There's not real peaceful times here in Israel. It's almost impossible to live in the southern part of Israel without hearing the alarms almost day out, day in. This is crazy. And in the recent few days, it was terrible. It was alarms throughout Israel, the entire country. You imagine in Tel Aviv, greater Tel Aviv has over 1.5 million people were under the threat of attacks. 1.5 million people. This is just unbearable and unbelievable. Just 1 second, please. Sorry. So, it is really important for us to stand together, united, to put all the political pressure we can on our representatives to buy us some time. We don't want to do and disobey the will of our greatest friend, America. But on the other hand, we cannot take this pressure, because the thing is that if we're not going to take care of this situation right now, if we're going to stop right now, we're going to let these horrific, terrible, hateful leaders of Hamas win their war. Because they didn't only shoot at us, at civilians, they also provoked and encouraged and incited Israeli Arab citizens, Israeli Arab Muslims that has my same rights, my same ID card, my same passport. They can go to the same places I go. They are equal rights citizens of Israel. They incited them so they can come and pogrom the Jews, lynch the Jews. This is not possible. We have to take care of the inside front and the outside front. We have to watch over Jerusalem. We have to watch over Israel. We have to make sure together that we are just prevailing. We are just getting rid of this constant threat over our families, our children throughout Israel. This is also a great time for you to find the right link, or to go on to israelupdate.org, or go into houseofdestiny.org and look for a way where you can sow a seed into Israel. You know that if Kim was alive right now, for sure he would already be here in Israel, take the first flight, boots on the ground, just to see where can he sow into a new bomb shelter, where he can take care of a soup kitchen, where he can find some Holocaust survivor and just play some music for them, special needs children, and encourage them and give them some relief. This is what he would have done. And you are now standing in the same gap. You are our followers, our warriors, our strength and power. You should now try and find a way to sow a seed into the ministry, because I'm sure that Jane wants to help here in Israel, either through IFCJ with Yael Eckstein, or directly with the local with the local municipalities. We need bomb shelters, we need relief, we need food, we need help and support for the kids, for the children. There's a huge need during this time of a war, and especially those bomb shelters that you have sown so much into them. They are life saviors. Only at this last escalation, just this last war, people ran to the same bomb shelters that you have bought for Israel, and their lives were saved. This was the difference between life or death, life or being crippled or injured. So if you have the ability, if you have the possibility, I think that just go now, go to the houseofdestiny.org, try to find any link over there where you can support the House of Destiny, and just sow your seed right down there on the letters for Israel. You can add whatever you want to do. You can add for bomb shelters, whatever, and the ministry will do the very most to bring this as fast as possible so you can sow and help Israel during this time of a conflict. I hope that you are well informed from now. We're entering into Shabbat here in Israel, so I will just say Shabbat Shalom. And of course, if you have any questions, anything, there's hundreds of you already that are literally privately messaging me. So you can all PM me either on my messenger or directly at the House of directly at israelupdate.org or hope@houseofdestiny.org. This is the best email, hope@houseofdestiny.org. And Christy and myself, we will answer every question, and we will definitely give you all the updates that we have. So thank you so much for your support. Shabbat Shalom from Jerusalem. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.